The reflection in the chrome paper towel dispenser showed everything. Simone Carter stood frozen in the penthouse suite bathroom of her own hotel, her hands gripping a toilet brush she didn't need to use. Through the partially open door, in the dispenser's warped reflection, she could see her husband of 7 years sitting on the bed she had personally selected for this room. Trevor was laughing, his head thrown back in genuine joy, a sound she hadn't heard directed at her in months. The woman next to him wore a red dress that probably cost more than the monthly salary of the actual cleaning staff Simone now pretended to be part of. Simone watched as Trevor pulled a small blue box from his jacket pocket. Her breath caught in her throat. She knew that box. She had seen the credit card charge 2 weeks ago, had assumed it was an anniversary gift for her since their 8th anniversary was coming up next month. The woman squealed as she opened it, and even from this distance, Simone could see the diamond bracelet catch the afternoon light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. "Trevor, it's beautiful," the woman said, her voice high and delighted. "You shouldn't have." "Nothing's too good for you, Candace," Trevor replied, fastening it around her wrist. "You deserve everything." Simone felt her stomach turn. She had built this hotel from nothing. She had started with one small boutique hotel 10 years ago, working 16-hour days, networking, learning the business from the ground up. Now she owned 5 luxury hotels across the state, and this flagship location in downtown was her crown jewel. She had designed these rooms, chosen every piece of furniture, approved every color scheme. And Trevor was using her own hotel as his personal affair headquarters. She had suspected something was wrong for 3 months now. Trevor had become distant, always on his phone, taking calls in other rooms. He claimed his marketing consulting business was booming, requiring late nights and weekend work. But Simone had helped build his client list, and she knew his business wasn't doing that well. When she had casually asked Patricia, her assistant manager, to check if Trevor had been coming to the hotel, Patricia's uncomfortable silence had told her everything. That's when Simone had made the bold decision. She had bought a cleaning uniform from a supplier, created a fake employee badge, and on days when she knew Trevor had meetings, she joined the cleaning staff. The real cleaners didn't question it. They saw the owner pitch in occasionally and thought nothing of it. For 2 weeks she had cleaned rooms, emptied trash bins and vacuumed carpets, waiting. Today she had hit the jackpot in the worst possible way. "I've been thinking," Trevor continued, and Simone forced herself to keep breathing quietly. "We should start making real plans. I'm tired of sneaking around." "But you said your divorce would be complicated," Candace said. "Something about business assets?" Trevor laughed, and the sound made Simone's hands clench around the toilet brush. "My wife thinks she's so smart because she owns a few hotels. But I've been the one managing the finances, making the real decisions. When I leave, I'm taking half of everything. Maybe more, considering how much I've contributed to the business." Simone had to bite her lip to keep from gasping. Trevor had never managed the finances. She had her own accountant, her own financial team. Trevor had access to their personal joint account and one credit card she had given him for emergencies. What was he talking about? "Won't she fight you?" Candace asked. "She's too soft," Trevor said dismissively. "Too trusting. She has no idea I've been preparing for this. I've got a lawyer, documentation of all my contributions. By the time I'm done, I'll have enough to start my own hotel chain. We can run it together." Simone felt something shift inside her. The pain was still there, sharp and terrible, but underneath it, something cold and hard was forming. Trevor thought she was soft. He thought she was too trusting. He had no idea who he was dealing with. She backed out of the bathroom silently, pushing her cleaning cart ahead of her. Her hands were steady now, her mind already racing. She had evidence now. She had heard his plans. And she had something Trevor didn't know about. She had built this empire alone, and she knew exactly how to protect it. As she pushed the cart down the hallway toward the service elevator, Simone caught her reflection in the mirror at the end of the hall. She barely recognized herself in the unflattering gray uniform, her beautiful natural hair tucked under a cap, her makeup scrubbed off to look the part. She looked invisible. Ordinary. Forgettable. Perfect. For the first time in 3 months, Simone smiled. Over the next week, Simone perfected her dual existence. By day, she was the polished, professional owner of Carter Hotels, attending meetings, reviewing expansion plans, and networking with investors. By afternoon, 3 times that week, she transformed into Sandra, a quiet cleaner who kept her head down and her ears open. She learned that Trevor had been bringing Candace to the penthouse suite every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 4 months. The suite cost $1,500 a night, and he was charging it to what he told the front desk was a corporate business account. Simone pulled the records herself late one night. Trevor had racked up over $60,000 in charges across her hotels. Room service, champagne, spa treatments, couples massages, expensive dinners at the hotel restaurants, all billed to an account he claimed was for client entertainment. But the financial abuse was just the beginning. What hurt more was listening to him rewrite their history. My wife was struggling when I met her, Trevor told Candace over breakfast in bed on Thursday morning. Simone was dusting the credenza near the door, her presence so routine now that they barely glanced at her. She had this little rundown hotel, barely making ends meet. I helped her refinance, taught her about real marketing, introduced her to my business contacts. Everything she has now, I helped build. Simone's hand tightened on the dusting cloth. The truth was completely opposite. When she had met Trevor 8 years ago, she had already owned 2 hotels and was planning her third. He had been working as a mid-level marketing manager at a firm that handled one of her advertising campaigns. She had been attracted to his charm, his easy confidence. He had seemed supportive of her success, proud even. Now she understood. He had never been proud. He had been positioning himself. That's so typical, Candace said sympathetically. Women get one success and forget all the help they received. Exactly, Trevor agreed. That's why I've been careful to document everything. Every idea I gave her, every client I brought in, every decision I influenced. My lawyer says I have a solid case for at least half, maybe more if we can prove I was an unacknowledged business partner. Simone moved to dust the lamp on the nightstand, her face a mask of neutral professionalism. Candace was typing on her phone, not even acknowledging Simone's existence. Trevor was the same way. To them, the cleaning staff was invisible, background noise in their love story. When are you going to tell her? Candace asked. Soon, Trevor said. I'm waiting for the right moment. Her biggest hotel opening is in 3 weeks. Once that's successful, I'll have proof that my strategies worked. Then I'll file for divorce and take what's mine. After they left for lunch, Simone sat on the bed she had just made and pulled out her phone. She opened her banking app and checked their joint account. The balance had dropped by $5,000 since she last checked 3 days ago. She opened the transaction history and felt her blood run cold. Trevor had been making regular transfers to an account she didn't recognize. Small amounts at first, $500 here, $1,000 there, starting about 6 months ago. But in the last 2 months, the amounts had grown. The most recent transfer was for $8,000, marked business investment. Simone took screenshots of everything. Then she opened her secure banking app, the one for her business accounts that Trevor had never had access to. Everything was as it should be. Her hotels, her money, her assets, all safely separated from their personal finances. But the joint account, the one they used for household expenses and shared costs, was being drained. She called Patricia from the service hallway. I need you to pull all the surveillance footage from the penthouse suite for the last 6 months. Don't tell anyone why. Save it to a secure drive and bring it to my office tomorrow. Is everything okay? Patricia asked carefully. It will be, Simone said. I'm handling something personal. That evening, Simone came home to find Trevor making dinner. He kissed her cheek, asked about her day and served her pasta with a smile. She watched him across the table, this man she had shared her life with, and felt like she was looking at a stranger. How's the new hotel opening coming? He asked. Good, Simone said carefully. The construction is ahead of schedule. You know, I've been thinking, Trevor said, reaching across to take her hand. I should be more involved in the business side. I have a marketing background and I think I could really help take things to the next level. Simone looked down at their joined hands. His wedding ring caught the light. She wondered if he wore it when he was with Candace. That's sweet, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But I have it handled. She saw a flash of something cross his face. Frustration, maybe annoyance, but he covered it quickly. I just want to support you, honey. We're a team, right? Right? Simone echoed. A team. That night, lying in bed next to him, Simone stared at the ceiling and made her plans. Trevor thought she was soft. He thought she would be easy to manipulate, easy to take from. He had built his entire strategy on her being too trusting, too emotional, too weak to fight back. He was about to learn just how wrong he was. Simone sat in her home office at 2 a.m, her laptop screen casting a blue glow across her face. Trevor was asleep upstairs and she had the house to herself. For the past 3 hours, she had been combing through every financial document she could access. The joint checking account was worse than she thought. Trevor had transferred over $40,000 in the last 6 months to an account listed under TC Hospitality Ventures. pulled up the business registration records. TC Hospitality Ventures had been registered 4 months ago, with Trevor Carter listed as the sole owner and operator. The business address was a lawyer's office downtown. Simone leaned back in her chair, processing this information. Trevor was setting up a competing hotel business using money from their joint account. Money that came primarily from her deposits since his consulting business brought in maybe a quarter of what she earned. She pulled up their tax returns from the last 3 years. Trevor had reported income from his consulting business, but it was modest. The bulk of their household income came from the salary Simone paid herself from her hotels. They had always kept their finances somewhat separate. She had her business accounts, he had his business account, and they shared the joint account for household expenses and savings. Except Trevor had apparently decided that savings meant seed money for betrayal. Simone opened a new browser window and began researching divorce lawyers. She needed someone sharp, someone who specialized in business assets and complex marital finances. After an hour of reading reviews and checking credentials, she found Gordon Mills. His firm specialized in high-net-worth divorces, and his track record showed he was ruthless when protecting his clients' business interests. She sent an email requesting a consultation, marking it urgent. The next morning, Simone went to the hotel early. Patricia was waiting in her office with a hard drive. "The surveillance footage you requested," Patricia said, setting it on the desk. Her face showed concern but no judgment. "Simone, if you need anything." "I need you to keep this between us," Simone said quietly. "And I need you to start documenting something for me. I want a record of every time Trevor Carter has charged anything to a hotel account. Every room, every meal, every service. Going back as far as our records show." Patricia nodded slowly. "Should I be worried about the business?" "No," Simone said firmly. "The business is fine. I'm protecting it." After Patricia left, Simone plugged in the hard drive and started reviewing footage. She fast-forwarded through hours of empty hallways and routine cleaning staff until she found what she needed. There was Trevor, arriving at the hotel in the afternoon when he had told her he was meeting clients. There was Candace meeting him in the lobby. There they were, taking the private elevator to the penthouse. Simone created a folder and saved clips of every visit. Time-stamped, dated, unmistakable. Her phone buzzed. Gordon Mills' office had responded to her email. They had an opening tomorrow at 10. That afternoon, Simone put on her cleaning uniform one more time. She needed to know if there was more, if there were other pieces to Trevor's plan she hadn't discovered yet. The penthouse suite was occupied. Simone checked her staff schedule and saw that it wasn't listed as needing service, but she knocked anyway, announcing herself as housekeeping. Trevor opened the door in a hotel robe. "We don't need," he stopped, looking right through her. "We don't need service today." "So sorry, sir," Simone said in a slightly different voice than her normal tone, keeping her head down. "I'll make a note." She caught a glimpse of Candace in the background, wrapped in a towel, heading toward the shower. As Trevor closed the door, Simone heard him say, "That's the problem with these places. The staff never checks the records." Simone walked back to the service elevator, her jaw tight. Trevor didn't even recognize her. She had stood 3 feet away from him, and he had looked right through her like she was furniture. In the service elevator, Simone pulled out her phone and opened the voice recorder app she had been using. She had recorded every conversation she had overheard while cleaning. Hours of Trevor talking about his plans, his strategy, his complete disrespect for the woman he had married. Back in her office, she changed back into her professional clothes and sat down to organize everything she had gathered. Financial records showing the drain on their joint account. Business registration showing Trevor's competing venture. Surveillance footage showing his affair. Voice recordings of his plans to take her business. Her computer dinged with an email. It was from her accountant, responding to her request for a full audit of all accounts Trevor had any access to. The report was detailed and concerning. Beyond the joint checking account, Trevor had somehow gained access to a business credit card. One that Simone's CFO had issued for spousal business expenses, without her direct approval. He had charged nearly $30,000 to it in the last year. Simone called her CFO immediately. "I need that card canceled," she said. "And I need to know every charge on it, categorized and detailed." "Is there a problem?" her CFO asked. "Just preventing one," Simone said. "Also, I need you to review all our account access protocols. I want to make sure no one can issue business credit or make financial decisions without my direct written approval." "Consider it done." Simone hung up and pulled out a legal pad. She started making a list of every account, every asset, every piece of her business that needed to be protected. The hotels were in her name alone, purchased before the marriage. Her business accounts were separate. But there were gray areas. The house they lived in, bought during the marriage with her money but in both their names. The cars. The joint investments. She needed to protect everything before Trevor knew she was coming for him. That evening, Trevor came home late, claiming he had been at a client dinner. Simone was in the living room, reading a book on hotel management. "Good dinner?" she asked casually. "Productive," Trevor said, loosening his tie. "I think I'm close to landing a big account." Simone looked up at him. He met her eyes and smiled, the same charming smile that had made her fall in love with him 8 years ago. She wondered if anything about him had ever been real. "That's great, honey," she said. "I'm proud of you." She saw him relax, saw him believe that everything was still fine, that his plan was still working. Simone smiled back and returned to her book. Let him think he was winning. Let him believe she suspected nothing. The storm was coming. But Trevor would never see it until it hit. Gordon Mills had an office in a sleek downtown building with views that rivaled those from Simone's hotel. He was in his 50s, with sharp eyes and a reputation for being brilliant and uncompromising. Simone sat across from him in a leather chair, her evidence spread across his conference table. "This is comprehensive," Gordon said after reviewing everything for 30 minutes. "Your husband has made several critical mistakes." "Such as?" Simone asked. "First, he's been using marital funds to build a competing business without your knowledge or consent. Second, he's been charging personal expenses to your business accounts, which is a form of theft. Third, he's documenting his own plans to defraud you in his communications." Gordon looked up at her. "Did he really not recognize you in that cleaning uniform?" "Not even slightly," Simone said. Gordon almost smiled. "His arrogance is going to cost him. Now let's talk about protecting your assets. You said the hotels are in your name alone." "Yes. I bought the first one before we met. The others were purchased through my business entity, Carter Hotel Group. Trevor has never been an employee, never held any ownership stake, and never contributed financially to any acquisition." "What about the house?" "Purchased during the marriage with my funds, but it's in both our names," Simone admitted. "That was my mistake. I wanted everything to feel like ours." Gordon made notes. "We can argue that since it was purchased entirely with your separate business income, it should remain your separate property. But a judge might split it." "What else?" "They went through everything. The cars, 2 were in Simone's name, 1 in Trevor's, all purchased with her money. The joint investment accounts, again funded primarily by her. The household items, the art collection, the furniture. Here's what I recommend," Gordon said. "First, we stop the bleeding. You close the joint account and remove his access to any business credit. Second, we gather more evidence. I want depositions from your hotel staff, your CFO, anyone who can testify that Trevor had no involvement in your business. Third, we file for divorce strategically. Not yet, but soon. I want to catch him off guard." "When?" Simone asked. "When he makes his move," Gordon said. "You said he's planning to file after your new hotel opens?" "That's what he told Candace." "Then we file first, the day before your opening. We'll claim fraud, misappropriation of marital assets, and ask for a full accounting of everything he's taken. We'll freeze all joint assets and request an emergency hearing to prevent him from transferring anything else." Simone felt a weight lift from her chest. She wasn't alone in this. She had a plan. "What about the affair?" she asked. "Does that matter legally?" "It depends on the state, but it can influence things like spousal support and division of assets, especially if he used marital funds to support his affair. Your documentation of the hotel charges is gold. He essentially stole from you to wine and dine another woman." Over the next 2 weeks, Simone worked with Gordon to build an airtight case. She hired a private investigator who followed Trevor and confirmed what Simone already knew. Trevor met Candace regularly, not just at the hotel but at restaurants, shows, and weekend trips that he claimed were business conferences. The investigator also uncovered something new. Trevor had been meeting with a real estate broker, looking at properties for his hotel venture. He was using financial projections that claimed he had been a silent partner in Carter Hotel Group for years and was now ready to launch his own brand. "He's creating an entire false narrative," Gordon said when Simone showed him the investigator's report. "He's telling people you couldn't have succeeded without him. That's going to backfire spectacularly when we present evidence that you built everything before and during the marriage without his involvement." Simone started gathering testimonials from people who had known her business from the beginning. Her first hotel manager, who had worked with her for 12 years, wrote a detailed account of how Simone had built the business from scratch. Her banker provided records showing that all business loans and lines of credit had been in Simone's name alone, with her personal assets as collateral. Her mentor, an older woman who owned a competing hotel chain, wrote a powerful letter describing how she had advised Simone from the beginning, how Simone had attended industry conferences, taken courses, and worked tirelessly to learn the business. Trevor Carter had no involvement in Simone's business success, the letter read. I've known Simone for 13 years, since before her marriage. She built her empire through her own intelligence, hard work, and vision. Any claim to the contrary is simply false. Meanwhile, at home, Simone maintained her performance. She was the loving wife, the trusting partner. She asked Trevor about his day, listened to his lies about client meetings, and pretended not to notice when he snuck away to text Candace. One evening, Trevor brought up the business again. I've been thinking about that new hotel opening. I'd like to be involved in the planning. You're so busy with your own work, Simone said carefully. I wouldn't want to add to your plate. I want to support you, Trevor insisted. We're partners, right? What's yours is mine. Simone felt her stomach turn, but she smiled. Of course. But let me get through the opening first. Then we can talk about your involvement. She saw satisfaction cross his face. He thought she was agreeing to let him into the business. He thought he was winning. 3 days before the hotel opening, Simone went to the hotel for one last cleaning shift. She needed to see if Trevor would be there, if he would bring Candace to celebrate his victory before making his move. Sure enough, at 3 in the afternoon, Trevor checked into the penthouse suite. Simone, in her cleaning uniform, waited until they were settled before knocking to deliver extra towels. Candace answered the door in a silk robe. Just leave them, she said dismissively. Simone set the towels on the bathroom counter and heard Trevor on the phone in the bedroom. Yeah, I'll file on Monday, he was saying. Right after her big opening. She'll be too distracted to fight properly, and I'll have evidence that my strategies led to this success. No, she has no idea. She's completely in the dark. Trust me, this is going to be the easiest divorce I've ever heard of. My lawyer says with everything I've documented, I could walk away with half of everything, maybe more. Simone finished arranging the towels and left silently. In the service elevator, she pulled out her phone and texted Gordon. He's filing Monday. We move Sunday. Gordon's response was immediate. Perfect. I'll have everything ready. That night, Simone couldn't sleep. She lay in bed next to Trevor, listening to him breathe, and thought about how completely her life was about to change. Tomorrow was Friday. Saturday was her hotel opening, the culmination of 2 years of planning and construction. Sunday she would blow up her marriage and take back her life. She wasn't scared. She was ready. Friday morning, Simone met with Gordon one final time before the divorce papers were filed. They sat in his conference room, reviewing every detail of her strategy. The hotel opening is tomorrow, Gordon said. I assume you don't want him there? He'll be there, Simone said. I want him there. I want him to see what I built, what he tried to steal. And then Sunday I want him served. Gordon nodded. We'll have a process server waiting. Where do you want this to happen? At home, Simone said. Sunday morning. I'll make sure I'm out. They reviewed the divorce petition one more time. It was detailed and damning. Simone was filing for divorce on grounds of fraud, alleging that Trevor had systematically stolen from her, used marital funds to support an affair, and attempted to defraud her of her business assets. She was requesting that all joint accounts be frozen, that Trevor be required to provide a full accounting of all transfers and expenditures, and that he be barred from making any claims on her business. She was also requesting exclusive possession of their house, both cars registered in her name, and all household items. Trevor would get the car in his name and whatever personal items he could prove he had purchased with his own funds. This is aggressive, Gordon warned. He's going to be angry. Good, Simone said coldly. He should be. That afternoon, Simone called her bank and closed the joint checking account. She transferred her half of the remaining balance into her personal account. Trevor's half went into a separate account that she would document for the divorce proceedings. Every dollar would be accounted for. She also called her CFO and had all of Trevor's access to any business accounts or credit cards permanently revoked. By the time he tried to use them, they would be declined. Is this related to your personal situation? Her CFO asked delicately. Yes, Simone said. And I need you to be prepared. There might be some drama next week, but I need you to know the business is secure. Trevor Carter has no ownership stake, no authority, and no claims to any assets. Understood. That evening, Simone went home and packed Trevor's belongings. She worked methodically, filling suitcases and boxes with his clothes, his toiletries, his personal items. She packed everything except the suits he would need for the hotel opening tomorrow. Those she left hanging in the closet. She put all the packed items in the garage out of sight. When Trevor was served on Sunday, she wanted him gone that day. No dragging it out, no living together during the divorce. Clean break, complete separation. She also changed the locks. The locksmith came late Friday night while Trevor was supposedly at a business dinner. She had new keys made for herself and put Trevor's old keys in an envelope with his name on it, ready to hand over. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear. The hotel opening was scheduled for noon, with a ribbon-cutting ceremony and a reception for investors, business partners, and VIP guests. Simone had planned every detail of this event for months. She had no intention of letting Trevor's betrayal ruin it. She got ready in her bedroom, choosing a stunning navy blue dress that she had bought for this occasion. She styled her hair in elegant curls and did her makeup flawlessly. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a powerful, successful woman. She saw someone who had built something incredible. Trevor came up behind her, adjusting his tie. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thank you," Simone said coolly. "So do you." They drove to the hotel together in silence. Trevor was on his phone most of the way, probably texting Candace. Simone didn't care. This was the last time she would have to pretend. The hotel opening was perfect. The new building gleamed in the sunlight, all glass and modern architecture. Inside, the lobby sparkled with crystal chandeliers and marble floors. Simone had designed every inch of it, worked with architects and contractors to bring her vision to life. The ceremony began at noon. Simone gave a speech about her journey in the hotel business, about building something from nothing, about the power of vision and hard work. She thanked her staff, her investors, her mentors. She did not thank Trevor. She saw him notice the omission, saw a flash of anger cross his face before he smoothed it over. After the ceremony, he pulled her aside. "You didn't mention me in your speech," he said. "Didn't I?" Simone said innocently. "I must have forgotten. There were so many people to thank." "I'm your husband," Trevor hissed. "I've supported you through all of this." "Have you?" Simone asked, looking him directly in the eye. Trevor seemed taken aback by her tone. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," Simone said with a smile. "Enjoy the reception, Trevor. I have guests to attend to." She walked away, leaving him standing there, confusion and anger battling on his face. She mingled with investors, accepted congratulations, and soaked in the success of what she had built. This was hers. All of it. And Trevor would never touch it. Later, she saw him on his phone in a corner, his face tight with frustration. She imagined he was complaining to Candace, or maybe to his lawyer, telling them to be ready to file on Monday. Too late, she thought. I'm already 10 steps ahead. That evening, after the reception, Simone told Trevor she was staying at the hotel to handle some last-minute issues. "You go home," she said. "I'll be late." "Are you sure?" Trevor asked, but she could see the relief in his eyes. He wanted to be away from her, probably wanted to go see Candace and celebrate his imminent victory. "I'm sure," Simone said. "I'll see you tomorrow." She watched him leave, then went up to her office and made a phone call to Gordon. "It's done," she said. "He'll be served tomorrow morning at 8. The locks are changed, his things are packed. I want this over." "It will be," Gordon assured her. "Get some rest, Simone. Tomorrow you start your new life." That night, Simone slept in one of her hotel suites. She lay in the bed she had chosen, in the room she had designed, and felt peace for the first time in months. Tomorrow the truth would come out. Tomorrow Trevor would face the consequences of his betrayal. Tomorrow Simone would be free. Sunday morning at 8, Simone was having breakfast in her hotel restaurant when her phone rang. It was the process server she had hired through Gordon's office. "Papers delivered," the man said. "He's been served." "Any issues?" Simone asked. He seemed shocked. Asked a lot of questions. "I told him to contact his lawyer." "Thank you," Simone said and hung up. She sat back in her chair and took a sip of coffee. It was done. Trevor knew. Within minutes, her phone began buzzing with calls and texts from him. She ignored them all. She had nothing to say to him that wasn't already in the divorce petition. Instead, she called her parents. Her mother answered on the second ring. "Simone, honey, how was the opening?" "Perfect," Simone said. "Mom, I need to tell you something. I filed for divorce from Trevor." There was a long pause. What happened? Simone gave them the short version: the affair, the financial theft, the plans to steal her business. Her mother was silent through most of it, but Simone could hear her father cursing in the background. "Where are you now?" her mother asked. "At my hotel. I'm safe. I have a lawyer, I have a plan. I just needed you to know." "We're coming," her mother said firmly. "Your father and I will be there in an hour. You don't have to." "We're coming," her mother repeated. "You're not going through this alone." By the time her parents arrived, Trevor had called 17 times and sent dozens of texts ranging from confused to angry to pleading. Simone's mother hugged her tightly in the hotel lobby. "I never liked him," her father said bluntly. "Too smooth, too charming. I should have said something." "I wouldn't have listened," Simone admitted. "I was in love." "Well, you're not anymore," her mother said firmly. "And we're proud of you for protecting yourself and your business." They went up to Simone's office and she showed them everything: the evidence, the documentation, the divorce petition. Her father, a retired accountant, went through the financial records with a critical eye. "He was planning to rob you blind," he said angrily. "This competing hotel venture using your money and your contacts. That's not just betrayal, that's fraud." At noon, Trevor showed up at the hotel. Simone's assistant called to warn her. "He's in the lobby demanding to see you. He seems very upset. Should I call security?" "No," Simone said. "I'll come down." Her father stood up. "I'm coming with you." Simone found Trevor pacing in front of the reception desk, the divorce papers crumpled in his hand. He looked like he hadn't slept. When he saw her, his expression shifted from anger to something almost desperate. "Simone, what is this?" he demanded, holding up the papers. "This is insane. You can't just freeze our accounts and kick me out of my own house." "It's my house," Simone said calmly. "Purchased with my money, and I'm claiming it as separate property. We're married. We share everything." "No, Trevor," Simone said. "I built everything. You just helped yourself to it." He noticed her father standing behind her and seemed to realize they had an audience. "Can we talk privately?" "No," Simone said. "Anything you need to say to me, you can say in front of my father." Trevor's jaw clenched. "This is about the hotel charges, isn't it? That was business entertainment. I can explain." "Can you explain, Candace?" Simone asked quietly. The color drained from Trevor's face. "What?" "Candace," Simone repeated. "The woman you've been having an affair with for months. The woman you've been taking to my penthouse suite twice a week. The woman you bought that diamond bracelet for. Should I go on?" Trevor opened and closed his mouth, searching for words. "How did you?" "Simone, listen, that's not what it looks like." "Don't," Simone said, her voice cold. "Don't insult me by lying when I have surveillance footage, financial records, and recordings of you planning to steal my business." "Recordings?" Trevor looked panicked. "You can't record someone without their consent. In a public space like a hotel hallway?" "Actually, I can," Simone said. "My lawyer was very clear about that." Her father stepped forward. "You need to leave. Now." Trevor looked between them, his expression shifting from shock to anger. "You think you're so smart? You think you can just kick me out and take everything?" "I'm not taking anything," Simone said. "I'm keeping what's mine. What I built. What I earned. You're the one who tried to take Trevor. You're the one who lied and cheated and stole." "I helped you," Trevor shouted, drawing looks from hotel guests in the lobby. "Everything you have, I helped you build. I gave you business advice, I introduced you to clients, "Name one," Simone interrupted. "Name one client you brought me. Name one piece of business advice you gave that I actually used. Name one contribution you made to my success." Trevor fell silent, his mouth working soundlessly. "You can't," Simone said, "because you didn't do any of those things. You took credit for my work. You lied to your mistress about our history. You created an entire fantasy where you were the secret power behind my success. But it was a lie, Trevor. All of it." "We're married," Trevor said, his voice desperate now. "You can't just throw away 7 years." "You threw them away," Simone said. "When you started sleeping with another woman. When you started stealing from our account to fund your affair. When you planned to take my business. You destroyed this marriage. I'm just making it official." Security had noticed the commotion and 2 guards approached. "Is there a problem, Miss Carter?" "Mr. Carter was just leaving," Simone said. "Weren't you, Trevor?" Trevor looked at her, really looked at her, and seemed to see her clearly for the first time. The soft, trusting woman he had married was gone. In her place was someone harder, someone who wouldn't be manipulated or lied to anymore. This isn't over, he said quietly. Actually it is, Simone replied. You'll hear from my lawyer about the deposition schedule. Until then, stay away from my hotels, stay away from my business, and stay away from me. She turned and walked away, her father beside her, leaving Trevor standing in her lobby. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. When they got back to her office, Simone sat down at her desk and realized her hands were shaking. Her father poured her a glass of water. You did good, honey, he said. You stood your ground. I feel like I'm going to throw up, Simone admitted. That's normal, her mother said, rubbing her back. You just confronted the man who betrayed you. But you did it with dignity and strength. He knows now that he can't push you around. Simone's phone rang. It was Gordon. I heard there was an incident at your hotel, he said. He showed up, Simone confirmed. We talked. I told him I knew everything. How did he react? He tried to lie, then got angry, then tried to claim he helped build my business. I shut it down. He left. Good, Gordon said. Now he knows you're serious. His lawyer will probably try to negotiate. Don't agree to anything without talking to me first. I won't, Simone promised. After she hung up, her mother suggested they get lunch. You need to eat. You need to take care of yourself. They went to a restaurant Simone loved, far from the hotel, far from anywhere Trevor might be. Over salad and wine, her parents talked about logistics, where Simone would stay, her hotel or her house, her choice, what to do about shared friends, tell them the truth, how to handle the gossip that would inevitably spread, ignore it and hold her head high. This is going to be hard, her mother said gently. Divorce is never easy, even when it's the right choice. I know, Simone said. But I also know I can't stay married to someone who sees me as a resource to be exploited. That's not love. That's not partnership. No, it's not, her father agreed. And you deserve better. That evening, alone in her hotel suite, Simone allowed herself to cry for the first time since all of this began. She cried for the marriage she thought she had. She cried for the trust that had been broken. She cried for the future she had imagined that would never happen. But as the tears slowed and the sky outside grew dark, Simone felt something else too. Relief. Freedom. The beginning of healing. Tomorrow the legal battle would begin in earnest. Trevor's lawyer would fight, would try to claim he deserved half of everything. But Simone had truth on her side and evidence and the best lawyer she could find. She had survived the worst of it. The betrayal, the lies, the confrontation. Now she just had to see it through to the end. And she would. Because Trevor had been wrong about one thing. Simone wasn't soft. She never had been. You didn't build a hotel empire by being weak. The first deposition took place 2 weeks later in Gordon's office. Trevor sat across the conference table from Simone, his lawyer beside him. Simone barely recognized her husband. He looked older, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. Gordon started with basic questions. When they met, when they married, their financial arrangements during the marriage. Trevor answered mechanically, his lawyer occasionally interjecting to clarify responses. Then Gordon moved to the business. Mr. Carter, you've claimed in your counterpetition that you were an active participant in building Carter Hotel Group. Can you describe your specific contributions? Trevor sat up straighter. I provided business advice, marketing strategies, client referrals. I was a sounding board for all of Simone's major decisions. Can you name a specific client you referred to Carter Hotel Group? Trevor hesitated. It wasn't always direct referrals. It was more about networking, making connections. Name one connection you made that resulted in business for Carter Hotel Group. I don't have specific names off the top of my head. You don't remember even one client you brought to a business you claim to have helped build? Trevor's lawyer jumped in. My client doesn't need to provide specific names in a deposition. His overall contributions speak for themselves. Gordon smiled. Let's talk about those overall contributions then. Mr. Carter, did you ever hold an official position with Carter Hotel Group? No, but. Did you ever receive a salary or payment from Carter Hotel Group? No, but that doesn't mean. Did your name appear on any business licenses, property deeds, or corporate documents related to Carter Hotel Group? No. Did you ever attend investor meetings, negotiate contracts, or make any official business decisions for Carter Hotel Group? I advised Simone on all of those things. That wasn't the question. Did you personally, officially, conduct any business on behalf of Carter Hotel Group? Trevor's jaw clenched. No. So you had no official role, no salary, no ownership stake, and no documented business activities on behalf of Carter Hotel Group. Is that correct? I was a support to my wife. Please answer yes or no. Yes, technically, but... Gordon pulled out a document. Let's talk about TC Hospitality Ventures. This is a business you registered 4 months ago, correct? Trevor paled slightly. That's a separate matter? Is it? Because according to bank records, you funded this venture with $47,000 transferred from the joint account you shared with my client. Money that came primarily from her deposits. Were you planning to open a competing hotel business? Trevor's lawyer put a hand on his arm. Don't answer that. Gordon continued. Were you planning to use contacts and strategies you claim to have developed while helping your wife build her business? We're not answering questions about TC Hospitality, Trevor's lawyer said firmly. Fine, Gordon said. Let's talk about Candace Morrison instead. Trevor went completely still. You know Ms. Morrison, correct? Trevor cleared his throat. I do. How do you know her? We're friends. Just friends? Gordon pulled out surveillance photos. These photos show you and Ms. Morrison entering the penthouse suite at Carter Hotel Group's flagship location on multiple occasions. You're also shown having intimate dinners, attending shows together, and taking what appears to be romantic trips. Would you call this friendship? Trevor looked at his lawyer, who was reviewing the photos with a deepening frown. I want a break, Trevor's lawyer said. I need to confer with my client. They took a 15-minute break. Simone went to the bathroom and splashed water on her face. Watching Trevor squirm had been satisfying, but it was also exhausting. This was her life being picked apart, her trust being examined under fluorescent lights. When they reconvened, Trevor's demeanor had changed. He looked defeated. Gordon continued. Mr. Carter, how many times did you charge hotel stays to your wife's business accounts for the purpose of conducting an affair? Trevor's lawyer tried to object, but Gordon cut him off. The question is relevant to the issue of dissipation of marital assets. Trevor mumbled something. Speak up, please, Gordon said. I don't know exactly. Maybe 20 or 30 times over several months. And the total cost of these stays, plus associated charges like room service, spa treatments and meals? Trevor was quiet for a long moment. Around $60,000. $60,000 of your wife's money, spent on hotel rooms where you conducted an affair. Is that correct? Yes. Simone felt her mother's hand squeeze hers under the table. Her parents had insisted on attending the deposition to support her. Gordon pressed on. Did you tell Ms. Morrison that you had helped build your wife's business? I may have exaggerated my role. Did you tell her that you deserved half of your wife's business assets? We discussed possibilities. Yes or no, Mr. Carter? Yes. Did you plan to use money from a divorce settlement to fund your competing hotel business? Trevor's lawyer tried to object again, but Trevor answered before he could. Yes. The room fell silent. Even Trevor's lawyer looked shocked. Simone realized that Trevor hadn't told his own lawyer the full truth. Gordon let the admission hang in the air for a moment. No further questions for now. We'll reconvene when we've completed our asset investigation. After Trevor and his lawyer left, Gordon turned to Simone. That went better than I expected. He admitted everything, Simone said, still processing. He did. Which means his lawyer is going to have a very difficult time arguing for any substantial settlement. He stole from you, committed adultery using your funds, and planned to use divorce proceeds to compete against you. No judge is going to look kindly on that. Over the next month, depositions continued. Simone's staff testified that Trevor had never been involved in hotel operations. Her accountant testified that Trevor had no access to business accounts and had made no financial contributions to her properties. Her CFO testified that the business credit card Trevor had used was issued without proper authorization and had been used primarily for personal expenses. The most damning testimony came from the private investigator, who had traced Trevor's financial plans in detail. Trevor had been meeting with investors, trying to raise capital for his hotel venture by claiming he was a co-founder of Carter Hotel Group. When the investors had tried to verify this with Simone's business records, they found nothing. Mr. Carter misrepresented his relationship to Carter Hotel Group to potential investors, the investigator testified. He showed them projections and business plans that he claimed were co-developed with Ms. Carter, but when we examined the documents, they were nearly identical to presentations Ms. Carter had made at industry conferences, presentations that were publicly available. He had essentially plagiarized her work. Candace was also deposed. She appeared reluctantly, clearly uncomfortable being part of the proceedings. Did Mr. Carter tell you he was married? Gordon asked her. Not at first, Candace admitted. He told me he was separated, going through a difficult divorce. He said his wife was trying to take everything from him. When did you learn the truth? When I received a subpoena for this deposition, Candace said quietly. I looked up his wife online and realized everything he'd told me was a lie. He wasn't separated. She wasn't trying to take anything from him. He was just a liar. Did he tell you he was using his wife's money to pay for your dates? Candace looked mortified. No. He said he had his own successful business. I had no idea. After Candace left, Gordon looked satisfied. She's not going to support his case. If anything, her testimony helps us. She establishes that he's a liar who manipulated both of you. As the legal proceedings dragged on, Simone focused on her business. The new hotel was performing beyond expectations. She was already in talks with investors about opening a 6th location. Her success was the best revenge. But the process took its toll. The stress, the constant lawyer meetings, the knowledge that her private life was being examined by strangers, it wore on her. Some days she felt strong and vindicated. Other days she felt exhausted and sad. Her friends rallied around her. Patricia had become more than an assistant. She was a true friend who brought Simone coffee during late-night strategy sessions and reminded her to eat. Her parents visited regularly, providing emotional support and practical help. And slowly Simone began to heal. Not just from the betrayal but from the marriage itself. She started to see how many small compromises she had made, how many times she had dimmed her own light to make Trevor feel important. She had been successful despite her marriage, not because of it. 3 months into the divorce proceedings, Trevor's lawyer called Gordon with a settlement offer. Trevor would give up all claims to the business and the house in exchange for a modest cash settlement and one of the cars. It's a good offer, Gordon said. Much better than going to trial. He knows he'll lose if we go before a judge. What do you recommend? Simone asked. Take it, Gordon said. It gets you out clean, protects your business and lets you move on. Dragging this out won't change the outcome, it'll just cost you more in legal fees and emotional energy. Simone thought about it for a week. Part of her wanted to fight to the bitter end, to make Trevor face a judge and hear all his failures laid out in court. But a bigger part of her just wanted it to be over. Accept it, she told Gordon. I want to be done with this. I want to move on. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. Simone stood in the courtroom, heard the judge declare her marriage dissolved, and felt a chapter of her life close. She was free. The divorce became final on a rainy Tuesday in October. Simone signed the last of the paperwork in Gordon's office, her signature steady despite the emotions churning inside her. Congratulations, Gordon said, sliding the final documents across the desk. You're officially divorced and your business is completely protected. Thank you, Simone said. For everything. You did the hard part, Gordon replied. You gathered the evidence, you stood your ground, and you didn't let him manipulate you into a bad settlement. I just helped make it legal. After leaving Gordon's office, Simone drove to her hotel. Her house felt empty and full of memories she wasn't ready to face yet. She had been staying in a suite at the flagship hotel for the past 2 months, finding comfort in being surrounded by something she had built. The news of her divorce had spread through their social circles quickly. Some people had been supportive. Others had been curious, asking probing questions about what had happened. A few had stopped calling altogether, apparently deciding that Trevor's friendship was more valuable than hers. Simone learned quickly who her real friends were. But the fallout wasn't limited to their social life. Trevor's professional reputation had taken a serious hit. Word had spread in their business community about what he had tried to do, stealing from his wife, lying to investors, using her success to prop up his false credentials. Simone heard through mutual acquaintances that Trevor had lost several consulting clients. Companies didn't want to work with someone who had proven to be dishonest and opportunistic. His planned hotel venture had collapsed when investors pulled out after learning the truth about his involvement with Carter Hotel Group. Candace had apparently broken things off immediately after her deposition. According to Simone's investigator's final report, she had felt used and manipulated. Trevor had lost his wife, his mistress, his business prospects, and his reputation all at once. Simone tried not to feel satisfaction at Trevor's downfall, but she couldn't quite manage it. He had tried to destroy her, and instead he had destroyed himself. Is it wrong that I'm glad he's struggling? She asked her mother over lunch one day. He tried to steal your life's work, her mother said bluntly. You have every right to feel vindicated when his schemes fell apart. I just don't want to be bitter, Simone said. I don't want him to have that much power over me. You're not bitter, her mother assured her. You're just processing. Give yourself time. Simone threw herself into work with renewed energy. She attended industry conferences, networked with other hotel owners, and started planning her sixth property. She hired additional staff, promoted Patricia to general manager of the flagship hotel, and created new positions to support her expanding business. She also started therapy. Twice a week, she sat in a comfortable office and talked about trust, betrayal, and rebuilding her life. Her therapist helped her understand that she wasn't defined by Trevor's betrayal, that his actions reflected his character, not her worth. You built an empire, her therapist reminded her. You're brilliant and capable and strong. What he did doesn't change any of that. Slowly, Simone began to believe it. She also began to reconnect with herself. During her marriage, she had lost some of her interests, had stopped doing things she loved because Trevor wasn't interested in them. Now she took painting classes. She joined a book club. She started running in the mornings, finding peace in the rhythm of her feet hitting the pavement. One evening, 6 months after the divorce, Simone was reviewing architectural plans in her office when Patricia knocked on the door. There's someone here to see you, Patricia said. Andre Matthews. He's the architect from the design firm we hired for the new property. Send him in, Simone said, setting aside the plans. Andre Matthews was tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He carried a portfolio under his arm and shook her hand professionally. Miss Carter, thank you for seeing me without an appointment. I wanted to discuss some modifications to the lobby design. They spent an hour going over his ideas. Andre had a vision that was even better than the original plans, incorporating natural light and sustainable materials in innovative ways. Simone found herself genuinely enjoying the conversation, excited about the possibilities. These are excellent, she said. Let's implement them. I'm glad you think so, Andre said, packing up his portfolio. I have to say, I'm impressed by what you've built with Carter Hotel Group. You have a real vision. Thank you, Simone said. That means a lot coming from someone with your talent. Andre hesitated at the door. Would you be interested in grabbing coffee sometime? To discuss the project, of course. Simone felt a flutter of something in her chest. Interest, possibility, fear. Coffee sounds good, she said carefully. To discuss the project. Andre smiled. Of course, just the project. But the way he looked at her suggested he might be interested in more than architecture. And for the first time since her divorce, Simone felt open to the possibility. Over the next few months, Simone and Andre met regularly to discuss the new hotel. Coffee meetings turned into lunch meetings. Discussions about design turned into conversations about their lives, their dreams, their experiences. Andre had been through a divorce 2 years ago and understood the process of rebuilding trust. Take your time, he told her after she confessed her hesitation about dating again. I'm not going anywhere. Simone appreciated his patience. She wasn't ready for anything serious, but she enjoyed his company. He made her laugh. He respected her boundaries. And when he looked at her, she saw genuine admiration for who she was, not what she could give him. Meanwhile, Trevor had apparently left the state. Simone heard through mutual friends that he had moved somewhere out west, trying to start over. She felt nothing when she heard the news. He was part of her past, a chapter closed and filed away. Her life was full now. Full of work she loved, friends who supported her, family who believed in her. She was healing, growing, becoming stronger. The betrayal had nearly broken her. Instead, it had freed her. Spring arrived with warm sunshine and blooming flowers. Simone stood in the lobby of her sixth hotel, watching as the final pieces of furniture were arranged exactly as Andre had designed them. The space was stunning, all glass and natural wood, with living walls of plants that brought the outside in. It's perfect, she said, and Andre smiled beside her. I can't take all the credit. You knew exactly what you wanted. I just helped bring it to life. Their professional relationship had evolved slowly into something more. They had been dating officially for 3 months now, taking things slow, building trust carefully. Andre never pushed for more than Simone was ready to give. He respected her independence, celebrated her success, and made it clear he had no interest in her money or her business. I'm an architect, he had joked once. I have my own career to worry about. It was refreshing to be with someone who had their own ambitions, their own achievements. Someone who saw her as a partner, not a resource. The divorce was a year behind her now. Simone had spent that year rebuilding herself, discovering who she was outside of marriage, learning to trust her own judgment again. Therapy had helped. Work had helped. Time had helped. She had also started speaking at conferences for women entrepreneurs, sharing her story not as a victim but as a survivor. She talked about building businesses, protecting assets, recognizing red flags in relationships. The response had been overwhelming. Women thanked her for being honest, for admitting she had been fooled but had fought back. "You're an inspiration," one woman had told her after a conference speech. "You showed us that we can be successful and still be betrayed, but that doesn't define us. How we respond defines us." Simone had built a new community around herself. Business owners, entrepreneurs, divorced women rebuilding their lives. She had found power in sharing her experience, in helping others avoid the mistakes she had made. Patricia had become her closest friend. They had lunch together twice a week, talking about business and life in equal measure. Patricia was dating someone new too, a teacher she had met through a dating app. "We're both starting over," Patricia said one day. "Building better lives than the ones we had." "That's all we can do," Simone agreed. "Learn and grow and move forward." The new hotel opened on a Saturday in May. The ceremony was smaller than the last one, more intimate. Simone gave a speech about resilience, about building something beautiful from difficult experiences. She thanked her team, her family, her friends, and Andre, whose design had created something truly special. After the ceremony, Andre pulled her aside. "I'm proud of you," he said simply. "For what?" "For all of this. For not letting what happened destroy you. For building something even better." Simone felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you for being patient with me. For understanding that I needed time." "I'd wait forever," Andre said and kissed her gently. It was the first kiss that felt right since her divorce. The first time she felt truly ready to trust someone new. That evening, Simone went home, to the house that was finally feeling like hers again. She had redecorated after the divorce, changing everything that reminded her of Trevor. New furniture, new colors, new art on the walls. It was her space now, filled with things she loved. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat on her porch, watching the sunset. Her phone buzzed with congratulations messages about the hotel opening. Her business was thriving. Her personal life was healing. She was happy. A year ago, she never would have thought this was possible. A year ago, she had been disguised as a cleaner in her own hotel, watching her husband betray her, feeling like her world was falling apart. But she had survived. More than survived, she had thrived. She thought about sending Trevor a message, something petty about how well she was doing without him. But she stopped herself. He didn't deserve her energy. He didn't deserve even a moment of her time. Instead, she texted Andre. "Thank you for today. For everything." His response came quickly. "Thank you for letting me be part of your journey." "Dinner tomorrow?" "Absolutely." Simone set down her phone and smiled. "Tomorrow. Next week. Next month." The future stretched ahead of her, full of possibility. She had learned so much this past year. About strength, about resilience, about her own worth. She had learned that betrayal could break you or make you stronger, and she had chosen strength. She had learned that the best revenge wasn't destruction, but success. Happiness. Growth. Trevor had tried to take everything from her. Instead, he had freed her to become something more than she had been. The sun set over her city, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Simone raised her glass in a silent toast. To new beginnings. To second chances. To building a life worth living. To freedom. 1 year and 3 months after the divorce, Simone stood in the employee break room of her newest hotel, coffee in hand, talking with her staff. She had made it a practice to connect with her employees regularly, to know them as people, not just workers. A new cleaner, a young woman named Rachel, was folding towels nervously. It was her second week on the job, and she seemed intimidated by having the owner in the room. "How are you settling in?" Simone asked kindly. "Good, ma'am," Rachel said. "Everyone's been really nice." "I'm glad to hear it. What brought you to hotel work?" Rachel hesitated, then said, "I needed a job with flexible hours. I'm taking business classes at night. I want to own my own company someday." Simone smiled. She saw something of herself in this young woman, ambition, determination, a dream bigger than her current circumstances. "What kind of company?" Simone asked. "Event planning," Rachel said, her eyes lighting up. "Weddings, corporate events, things like that. I love organizing things, making everything perfect." "That's a great goal," Simone said. "You know, I started in this business by cleaning rooms too. There's no shame in starting at the bottom. What matters is where you're going." Rachel looked surprised. "Really? You were a cleaner?" Simone almost laughed, thinking about those weeks she had spent in disguise. I was. And I learned more about my own business from that perspective than I ever expected. She pulled out her business card. I want you to send me your business plan when you have one. I host a lot of events at my hotels. If your plan is solid, maybe we can work together. Rachel's eyes went wide. Seriously? Seriously? We all need people who believe in us when we're starting out. Someone believed in me once, and I want to pay that forward. After her shift ended, Simone found herself thinking about that conversation. How far she had come. How much she had grown. The woman who had disguised herself as a cleaner had been desperate and hurt, trying to catch her husband in his betrayal. The woman she was now was confident and healed, using her success to lift others up. That evening she met Andre at a restaurant they both loved. Over dinner, he mentioned that he had been asked to design a hotel in Paris. It's a 6-month project, he said carefully. I'd be based there for most of it. Simone's heart sank, but she kept her voice steady. That's an amazing opportunity. It is, Andre agreed. But I don't want to leave you. We've built something special over the past year. Andre, you can't turn down your dream project for me, Simone said firmly. I would never ask you to do that. I know you wouldn't, Andre said. That's one of the things I love about you. You understand ambition. You have your own. They talked through the logistics. 6 months apart was a long time, but they could visit each other. They could video chat. They could make it work if they both wanted to. Do you want to make it work? Andre asked. Simone thought about it honestly. A year ago, she wouldn't have been ready for a long-distance relationship. She would have been too insecure, too afraid of betrayal. But she had done the work on herself. She had learned to trust again, to trust Andre, and more importantly, to trust herself. I do, she said. I don't want to lose what we have just because there's distance. If you're willing to try, so am I. Andre took her hand across the table. I love you, Simone. I should have said it before, but I wanted to wait until the time was right. I love your strength, your intelligence, your heart. I love the way you've rebuilt your life and helped others rebuild theirs. I love you and I want to make this work. Simone felt tears spring to her eyes. I love you too. And I trust you. Which is huge for me, you know. I know, Andre said gently. I'll never take that trust for granted. They spent the next few months preparing for Andre's move to Paris. Simone focused on her business, finalizing plans for her 7th hotel. Her empire was growing beyond anything she had imagined when she started. She also started a foundation to help women entrepreneurs, particularly those leaving difficult relationships. She funded business grants, provided mentorship, and created networking opportunities. It was her way of turning her pain into purpose. One day, sorting through old emails, Simone found a message from Candace. It had arrived months ago, but she had never opened it. Curiosity finally got the better of her. Dear Simone, it read. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I needed to reach out. I'm deeply sorry for my part in hurting you. I had no idea Trevor was married, but that's not an excuse. I should have asked more questions, trusted my instincts when things didn't add up. You didn't deserve what happened to you, and I apologize for being part of it. I hope you're doing well. From what I've read about your business success, it seems like you are. Take care, Candace. Simone read it twice, then deleted it. She didn't need Candace's apology. She had already moved past the hurt, already rebuilt her life. The apology was too little, too late, and from someone who had also been lied to. She felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pain. Just nothing. It was a good feeling. Andre left for Paris in September. The goodbye at the airport was tearful but hopeful. They had a plan, regular calls, visits every 6 weeks. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And Simone had learned that real was better than perfect. She threw herself into her foundation work, mentoring 3 women who were starting their own businesses after leaving bad relationships. She shared her story with them, the whole story, the betrayal, the disguise, the legal battle, the healing. The best revenge, she told them, is living well, being successful, being happy. Not because you're trying to show your ex anything, but because you deserve it. Because you're worth it. In November, Simone was invited to speak at a major business conference. She stood on stage in front of 500 people and told her story. Not the sanitized version, but the real one. About being so desperate to know the truth that she disguised herself as a cleaner in her own hotel. About watching her husband with another woman. About building a case, fighting back, and winning. I could have let that betrayal define me, she told the audience. I could have given up, accepted less, settled for half of what I built. But I didn't. I fought for what was mine. And more importantly, I fought for myself. For my worth. For my future. The applause was thunderous. Women came up to her afterward, thanking her, sharing their own stories of betrayal and resilience. Simone realized that her story wasn't just about her anymore. It was about all the women who had been underestimated, betrayed, told they weren't enough. Her success was proof that you could survive the worst and come out stronger. In December, Andre came home for the holidays. Simone picked him up at the airport, and the moment she saw him, she knew. This was real. This was right. They spent Christmas together, and on New Year's Eve, as they watched fireworks from her hotel rooftop, Andre got down on one knee. "I know we've only been together a year and a half," he said. "And I know you've been through a lot. But I also know that I want to spend my life with you. Not because of your success or your business, but because of who you are. Your strength, your heart, your resilience. Will you marry me?" Simone looked at him, this man who had been patient with her healing, who had supported her dreams, who had never once tried to take credit for her success or diminish her accomplishments. "Yes," she said. "But I have conditions." Andre laughed. "Of course you do. Separate finances. My business stays mine. And if you ever lie to me, ever betray my trust, it's over. No second chances." "I wouldn't want it any other way," Andre said, slipping the ring on her finger. "Your success is yours. I'm just lucky you want to share your life with me." As they kissed under the fireworks, Simone felt complete. Not because she had a man, but because she had herself. She had her business, her independence, her strength. The relationship was just a beautiful addition to an already full life. 2 years after disguising herself as a cleaner to catch her husband's betrayal, Simone stood in her office and looked at everything she had built. 7 hotels, a thriving foundation, a team of people she trusted and respected. A new love built on honesty and mutual respect. She thought about the woman she had been in that hotel bathroom, watching through a chrome dispenser as her marriage fell apart. That woman had been scared and hurt, but she had also been strong. Strong enough to face the truth. Strong enough to fight back. And now she was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Her phone rang. It was Rachel, the cleaner she had mentored. "Miss Carter? I wanted you to be the first to know. I just signed my first client. A wedding in your downtown hotel next spring." "That's wonderful, Rachel. Congratulations." "I couldn't have done it without your belief in me," Rachel said. "You gave me a chance when no one else would." After hanging up, Simone smiled. This was what it was all about. Not revenge, not proving Trevor wrong, not even her own success. It was about building something meaningful, helping others, creating opportunities. Trevor had tried to take everything from her. Instead, he had given her the chance to become more than she had been. Stronger, wiser, more compassionate. She didn't wish him well. She didn't wish him ill. She simply didn't think about him at all. Her life was full of people who loved and respected her. Full of work that fulfilled her. Full of possibilities and dreams and hope. She had won. Not because Trevor had lost, but because she had chosen to thrive. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.